I've been watching a lot of Zelda retrospective, and they are incredibly amazing to watch. So much so, I wanted to make it myself. Listen, before I give it a proper review, I played through Ocarina 2 times, my first playthrough being about 4 months ago, and actually I finished my first Zelda games about 1 year ago, and I think that still validates my opinion on the games. It allows me to have more of an unbiased opinion because I don't know what's coming in. This legendary game, Ocarina of Time, is universally regarded as the perfect game, especially by Metacritic. Now, it has been 20 years since the release, which is older than myself, but how good was Ocarina of Time? What I love about Ocarina of Time are the boss fights. This may change as I play through more Zelda games, but I definitely believe playing Breath of the Wild first, then playing Ocarina of Time gives me an appreciation for boss fights. Because in true honesty, I spammed the bow in Breath of the Wild too much, and every boss fight I put down with just a bow. But in OOT, the boss fights are just pattern recognition and then slashing. It is actually fun. It's actually incredibly fun doing it the first time. I know this is the most needed improvement for 3D Zelda games. The bosses are lackluster because it's not as challenging or demanding as puzzle solving as the dungeons are they dwell in. To me, they are fun to play through and to fight against the bosses. Speaking on the dungeons, I do enjoy most of the dungeons, even the Shadow Dungeon. It took me a while to actually get through it. I got lost in between the falling spike trap room the first time I played through the game. As well, I went into the game thinking negatively about the water temple. So many people cried saying it's so long and annoying, but I found it to be just as fun, and it's such a fun experience. I did take 40 minutes on it though, going through it the first time. While the boss fight was the worst of the game, I enjoyed how in-depth the dungeon was. Even with the Iron Brutes problem, where you had to pause to unequip and equip. It was a problem in the N64 version, and that ties it with my favorite dungeon, as well as the Spirit Temple, which is very amazing to play through. I love how you could transition between both ages. And while the water dungeon being my biggest fear going to the game, my second biggest fear not named the water temple was learning the songs on the ocarina. But I quickly learned that all the songs are there in the menu, so you wouldn't need to worry about if you forgot it. It did feel less rewarding collecting all the golden sculptulas. This is why I quit collecting them after my 28th one. And there are tons of side quests to earn money and to get empty bottles and for heart pieces, but it just doesn't seem as rewarding as other games. Finally, the story. I love the story initially. Then I watched more videos on Zelda lore, and I love the story even more. This game is the catalyst of the Zelda timeline. Almost every game falls under a timeline that is caused by the events of Ocarina of Time. Whether the hero vanquished the demon and sealed the demon, protected Hyrule and foiled Ganon's plan before it even happens, or even the hero falls and Ganon achieves his plan and gains all 3 pieces of the Triforce. I can't pick which one is my favorite timeline, of course, because it's just so interesting. Each game's timeline is so interesting. As well, a big part about the story was transitioning from a child exploring the world to an adult who wants to go back to his happier world that was his childhood. But then when the hero gets a chance to go back, the memories and thoughts stay with him. There was no happy childhood left. The hero would soon leave Hyrule and travel elsewhere. Beautiful story in my opinion. I do have complaints about the game in general. The Goron sword, although optional and so fun to use, it's quite broken. You can one cycle almost every boss fight. Thankfully, it's only available near the time you enter the water temple and only as an adult. I did not enjoy the forest temple. This temple was oddly simple yet hard at the same time. It didn't really make me puzzle solve much more. It was more annoying to push blocks and pull blocks. And as well, the first time I played, a wall master actually spawned on top of me and grabbed me. It made me reset the entire dungeon and I had to go through the block pushing again. And not to mention the absolute annoyance, which is the fishing minigame. I was unable to get the biggest fish, which really annoyed me because I wanted to 100% this game, but I gave up on the sculptula and the fishing minigame because I was using Project 60 as my emulation for the game, and I was using an Xbox controller, and the button pressing was not fast enough to wielding the fish. It was impossible for me to get the fish. I tried as hard as I could, but I couldn't. And I heard on Nintendo consoles that emulates the game as well, it's tough to get the biggest fish sometimes, but I think it's just definitely the emulation I'm using, or I'm just bad. The game in its entirety is incredible. I do believe that it does deserve its score on Metacritic. I think it's such a good game. Getting to finally experience this game was quite fun, and my only regret is that I wish I played it sooner, so I know more about the game and more about the Zelda timeline. Because of Breath of the Wild, I got into playing Zelda games, and now I play Ocarina of Time, and now I'm more interested in Zelda games. I've completed 4 Zelda games, I believe, and you know, I do have my complaints about this game, but no game is perfect. There are flaws to every game. But when a game is just a masterpiece, you can't ever hold a grudge on the small mistakes here and there. And has Ocarina of Time aged well over these years? I believe so. I believe Ocarina of Time has aged phenomenally. As well, you can add randomizer to this game, so now it's a new experience. So this game finds new ways to outdo itself and to make people more interested to play the game, from speedrunning to even randomizer. So thank you for watching all the way to the end. My name's Alpha, and thank you for watching.